curious. There were these two men and they were fighting. Well, at least I saw two shadows and got the impression that they were fighting each other. Then there was a loud splash, as if one of them had fallen into the water, and I could see only one shadow after that.
You really think someone was thrown overboard?
It looked like it, at least.
Did you recognize these men?
No, I only know that one of them had a long ponytail. At first I thought it was a woman, but the figure looked more like that of a man. The guy with the ponytail suddenly disappeared after the loud splash.
There's only one person on board who has a ponytail. Our ship's doctor. I find it hard to believe what you've just told me, but it can't hurt to have a look together. The doctor should still be in the sick bay with Miss Jordan.
Thank you.
See? Everything's fine. Our ship's doctor is taking great care of his patient.
You think I'm crazy, don't you? I was sure that there was a fight and that one of them went overboard.
No, I don't think you're crazy. It was dark and these things do happen. Just lie down and sleep for a few hours.
Actually...
I need to return to the bridge now. Good night.
Yes, thank you. Same to you. Strange. Did I really just imagine it? Oh well, while I'm busy making a fool of myself, I might as well go and check whether my date has finally shown up. Just wait. I'll have something to say to him tomorrow, but I've had enough for today. I'm going to bed now. Well, now I'm reasonably well rested and definitely fit enough to give someone who didn't show up for dinner a good talking to. But I just heard very distinct noises. Looks like that coward doesn't dare leave his cabin. Is he only afraid of being yelled at, or does he really have something to hide? Maybe I should go to the lower deck and look through the porthole of his cabin. What's the doctor doing in this cabin? And is he really the doctor? And if he is, why is he wearing a wig? But even more important, who is treating Katerina Jordan? I really need to check up on her. That must be cabin number 4. Hello, Mr. Lee.
Hello, Miss Kalenkov.
Are you on board simply to relax?
I have the same strategy as you. I like to combine business with pleasure. I'm on my way to a conference of the IADSES.
May I ask?
Of course. The International Association of the Discoverers of Stars in Everyday Situations.
Come again?
Virtually every magazine has sensational shots of stars in extremely embarrassing situations.
Yes, you can't really miss them.
We are also on the hunt for photos of famous people, but we don't climb trees and we don't creep through sewers. We have a code of honor.
I see.
For us, it's all about catching the star in a completely everyday situation in public. For example, when they are shopping in the supermarket, or driving, or going for a walk.
Sounds interesting. I always thought the Chinese couldn't pronounce R's properly.
And I always thought Russians spent the whole day drinking vodka.
You can't beat good old cliches and prejudices. That's a fine collection of cameras you have there. Aren't they pretty heavy?
Yes, they are. But I was once lucky enough to meet Gina Turner at a car dealer's. I nearly wept for joy. And then the camera didn't work. Didn't have a clue why, it just didn't work. I never really recovered from that trauma.
Understandable.
Well, since then, I always have at least 3 different cameras with me, so that something like that can never happen again.
You seem completely fascinated by the photos.
To be honest, my fascination does have very definite boundaries. I I only find the unknown beauty under the birch tree really fascinating. However, she does not seem to be a star, at least not yet. But perhaps that will change one day. Everyone started in a small way, you know. My first star was Sophia Lorraine, who accidentally spent too much time standing over a ventilation shaft during the opening of a department store. Unfortunately, it turned out that it wasn't Sophia Lorraine at all, but just a double. And it was no accident, but deliberately planned that way by the department store owner. Nevertheless, that was what started my passion for star photography.
And the photos on the wall can't even keep up with the Sophia Lorraine double?
Not yet, but I haven't looked at all the photos yet. Maybe one of them is a real hit. However, I realize I've become quite spoiled in this respect. Only real stars excite me now, and they probably wouldn't be seen dead on this kind of ship.
Who knows? Miracles happen.
You're right there. You usually bump into stars where you least expect them. For example, I once met a senator in the ladies' room. It was very embarrassing for him.
I can well imagine. But what were you doing in the ladies' room yourself?
That's a long story that you probably wouldn't understand.
No, probably not. I'll let you know if I bump into any stars on the way.
Oh, that would be nice.
Hello. What can I do for you?
Does your doctor wear a wig?
Not that I know of. Why?
He's in a passenger's cabin at the moment, and he's definitely wearing a wig.
Look, I don't want to get personal, but you seem to have experienced a number of strange things here on board. Exchanged suitcases, disappearing handbags, doctors who went overboard.
What are you saying?
I'm not saying anything, but please understand, I've really got enough to do on this ship without taking care of the passengers' entertainment program.
Well,
Now just go and find yourself a nice deck chair and enjoy the journey.
but do I really look like some bored bimbo who just makes all this stuff up in order to grab the limelight? It seems I do. So I need proof. Okay, so I'll get some. I'll let you get back to work.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Lee.
Hello, Miss Kalenkov.
Could I possibly borrow one of your cameras?
I'm sorry, but I never lend them out. Since that time with Gina Turner.
Yeah, I get it, but it would only be very briefly. The Polaroid will do, and it really is very important.
I'm sorry, but if a star should suddenly turn up here for whatever reason, and my other cameras weren't working, and the star left the ship before you returned with the camera?
Don't you think the likelihood of that scenario actually taking place is much lower than the risk of being struck here and now by a coconut?
You would be surprised how many people.
All right, I can see that you can't be convinced with words. I'll let you know if I bump into any stars on the way.
Oh, that would be nice.
If I fold the cover correctly, you can't see the text anymore. Now, you could almost mistake it for a real photo. Hello, Mr. Lee.
Hello, Miss Kalenkov.
Do you know that George Rooney is on board?
Yes, of course. He's sharing a cabin with the Pope.
Don't you believe me?
Of course not. He wouldn't board a ship like this if you paid him for it.
I wouldn't be so sure. Haven't you seen the photo on the wall yet?
What photo?
Come with me, I'll show you. Here.
That would be a sensation. That would be too good to be true. But what would he be doing here? No, it can't be. You just want to annoy me. If George Rooney was on board, I would have noticed a long time ago. And you'd hardly be seeing him alone without bodyguards.
He's traveling in disguise. Of course, that goes without saying.
And why should he do that? He could buy a much nicer and larger ship anytime.
He still has his doubts, but with a bit of convincing, I could persuade him to take a photo of that false doctor. Then I would have proof that something here isn't quite right. There's this new series called, Emergency Boat. That's why Mr. Rooney has to spend a week on a small boat disguised as a doctor. It's really the only way he can see what the working day of a ship's doctor is like, so he can play the role perfectly.
Sounds logical, but it seems too good to be true.
Just come with me. I even know which cabin he's in.
I can hardly see anything. Is that really supposed to be George Rooney?
That's what I said. You can take your photo now. It'll make you a star among the professional paparazzi. But I want a copy, too.
That doesn't help me at all. There'd be nothing to see on the photo except his back.
He's right there. I'll have to find some way of making sure there's more of him to see. No idea where the porter is, but he must be somewhere around here, and I wouldn't like him to catch me. Why are you working as a barkeeper now? Didn't you have enough work to do as a porter?
Yes, more than enough. But what am I supposed to do? Special circumstances require special measures.
You're telling me. Where's your colleague?
That's a very good question, which I have already asked myself. When I see him next, he'd better dress up warm.
The question is, does the barkeeper's disappearance mean he had something to do with yesterday's events? And if so, is he the victim or the perpetrator? I must keep my eyes peeled and my ears to the ground to make sure I don't become the next person everyone worries about. For how long has little Oscar been drumming already?
It seems like forever, but that's probably just my impression.
Yes, probably. Can't you persuade him to take a short break, or a long one?
I've already tried that, and it turned out to be a serious mistake. The kid would probably have stopped a long time ago if he didn't know how much he's annoying me.
And you put up with that?
He is the captain's son.
I see.
Maybe you can do it. I'd be eternally grateful.
I won't promise anything, but I can try. Is it worth opening the bar? There's not really much happening here.
To be precise, there's nothing at all happening here. But that's no wonder with that racket going on. Who wants to listen to hours of arrhythmic drumming if they can avoid it? But as long as there are no other guests here, I can at least escape the noise with my MP3 player.
I'm leaving now for a while. If I bump into the barkeeper while I'm gone, I'll send him to you, okay?
I would be very grateful to you.
Nice drums you've got there.
They're bongos.
Oh, sorry. How could I?
No problem.
You're making a terrible racket with those things. Can't you occupy yourself some other way?
Sure. No problem. How?
Well, how about playing ping pong, for example?
I've already played that. But the last ball fell into the sea.
Oh, well, what about swimming?
No, that's really boring.
Yes, well, what about reading?
Even more boring.
I can see it won't be easy to persuade you to stop drumming.
Right. That won't be easy.
Don't worry, I'll think of something.
Well, now I'm really curious.
Cheeky kid. I like him, but it's difficult to look past that cheeky kid label. The barkeeper told me you scared off all the guests with your racket. Don't you think it's time you stopped that now?
No.
You can accuse him of a lot of things, but at least